Hey there, this is David Martin, and I got a quick question for you guys. Do you ever struggle with having the right words to say when you prospect? Do you struggle with prospecting in general? If you do, I'm going to answer some of these questions in this video, alright? So, let's go through a couple different scenarios. When you prospect, I'd like to either plant seeds or I will do indirect prospecting, all right? Indirect prospecting is you're pulling them toward you more so than you're pushy, all right? So there's a lot of people that don't like being pushed into a sale. That's why people don't even want to get started in network marketing, because they don't want to be that pushy person with their friends and family. Well, I'm here to tell you there's very different way to do it than being pushy. You can plant seeds. You can do it indirect with your warm market especially. Now, if you're, let's say, prospecting a waiter or waitress, then you still can do it indirectly. All right, now getting into that as well. So let's get into planting seeds. I like to do this with family members, all right, or close friends. Because obviously you like to have everyone that you know on your products, in your business, because obviously you're in it for a reason, because guess what? The product's probably pretty good. All right, so you'd like to have the benefit for your friends and family and everything like that. So what I do is I usually plant seeds, and I'll talk about what I'm doing, and I'll just kind of leave it at that then. If they ask you more questions, then they're open. So you can go a little more in depth. But eventually what I do then is I say, look, if you want to know more about it, tell you what, let's set a time and I'll explain a little bit more what I do, what it is. And that way you have a kind of a break in the communication, and when you set it up again, now instead of just passing by it, a get together or whatever, now you actually, it's business, it's face to face, all right? And it's way more serious. So that's why I like to plant seeds. And definitely if you're hanging out with friends, whatever, you don't want to go in there and start hard selling them. You don't want to go in there and start pressuring them. Share what you're doing and then leave it at that, and kind of have that curiosity that they can come back to you later, or they might show some interest there and say, hey, well, what else what really does that entail, or whatever. Then you can go in and start saying, look, let's set a time and go from there. All right, so if you're planting seeds, that's how I do it. Now, if you want more of an indirect way of doing it, then what I do there is I go to somebody and say, look, I'm looking for some really sharp people that are leaders that I would love to work with, have great energy. Do you know anybody like that? Because I have an awesome opportunity for them. So what happens is you could get some referrals, which is a plus, all right? At the same time, that friend of yours could say, well, what are you doing? I'm pretty, positive. I like to keep my options open, whatever. So they might actually ask you, what is it? And you might go, well, that's fair enough. If you're going to refer people to you, you'd want to know what it is. When's a good time that we could sit down and I could explain a little bit more about what it is? Then they go, well, what is it? What is it? I just like to know. Well, so I understand, but I really want you to make sure that you have the full picture, so you know what you're actually referring, okay? So that deflects it off, that you're not just going to have this, oh, what is it? And then you say, a couple sentences, and they're like, oh, well, I don't know if I know of anybody that's going to do that. Or they might think, well, I really don't want to do that after all. So if you just quickly say something after they go, oh, what is it? And try to explain it, guess what? What they're doing is they're up here kind of looking down at you, saying, oh, what kind of small thing that you have. But if you can deflect that off and get a different appointment, or have them watch a video, something that's produced by your company, guess what? Now you're on an even playing field, and you say, well, I'll get back to you after you look at it. when can you look at it? So you just want to set that appointment then with that person. When can they actually look at this? If I call you back tomorrow, will you have the video looked at? Or if I call you back at a certain time, will you answer? Those are good setup questions as well as you're trying to prospect people, because it's not only trying to get somebody to say, yes, I'd like to look at it, but now you want to set the appointment, because instead of having, I'd say, maybe 10% that actually get on the phone with you or look at the video, now you're getting 80% because you're asking them again. You're re-verifying a specific time that they can actually get on the phone or look at a video, and what happens is then they're actually going to go ahead and do that. All right? So that's two different areas that you can do it. All right? The third way is, let's say you're doing cold market and you're out at a restaurant. I was just out at a restaurant last week. I usually wait to the very end, all right, because I want to have this answer for them. When they ask me, well, what is it? I'm going to go, well, I'd really like to, tell you, but I have to go. How about you exchange information with me and I can get back to you at a later date? What that does is that makes, obviously I'm busy, but that deflects it off where I'm not going to give them 1 or 2 sentence answer and then they're going, I don't want to really bother with that. They're going to give you the information because they want to hear more, because of the question I asked them. All right, so when I'm about done, and I kind of, obviously, if I like the waiter or waitress, they're doing a really good job, they get good energy, then I'm going to engage them throughout the service, all right? Compliment on what they're doing. People love to be complimented. Tell them, hey, you're doing an awesome job. I love how your service, whatever. And you start kind of engaging, and you ask them, how long you been doing this? Whatever. Kind of open-ended questions that get them to open up to you. And then at the very end, when you're giving them, or they're giving you the receipt, that might be the last time you see them, all right? After they bring back your credit card. That's when, obviously I'm about ready to leave anyway. That's when I ask them. This is the question I ask them. It's very indirect again, because in cold market, you want to create a conversation, and you don't want to sell them your company because they don't care about your company. What they care about is putting money in their pocket or a product that they'd be interested in. That's what they care about. So I create that conversation, and then I ask them a question that has less resistance with the question than resistance. All right. So you want something that's least resistant instead of having something that's resistant. All right. So here's a resistant question. You can ask them, I have a business that I'm looking for somebody that's really sharp, that I'm recruiting in this area. Maybe you'd be interested. All right, so what happens is they're going to think, okay, I have to change jobs. Maybe I like what I'm doing. Maybe my goals are, something else, and I'm already working toward that. And this is just kind of a side job that I have here with waiting tables. So that's going to be high resistance. They're going to go, well, wait a minute, I already have kind of plans for my life, possibly. So what I do is I'll ask them, are you interested in creating more income that possibly not really is going to actually interfere with what you're doing right now? So it's not going to interfere. It's going to create income for them. So there's two positives. That is something that you're going to get a lot of yeses on. So whenever you're thinking about different questions that you can ask just before you're ready to leave, you might even ask, might even say, well, I need to go here, but maybe you're interested in something that I do part-time, doesn't interfere with what I do. It creates extra income for me and my family, that I have extra income per month, able to pay my bills. Would you be interested in that? Something like that. That's an indirect way of doing it. All right? So if you're prospecting and you're doing warm market or you're doing cold market, there's indirect ways to go about actually prospecting so you don't turn off people and have your relationships get weird. Bottom line, when you're prospecting, just think how to be sociable. Don't make it weird, okay? It's really how simple it is. Talk to lots of people. You get better and better at it. And obviously you're going to have to talk to a lot of people to really get, big time in your business. So hopefully that was some great tips for you guys. Love you guys. If you'd like to check out my blog, it's davidmartinhomebusiness.com. I'll see you again next time. Bye, guys.